Hi, and welcome to my video series about the human mind. And congratulations if you are still with me and still watching these videos, because I know that the last one might have been a bit tough and a bit confusing for some people. So yeah, great if you're still watching. And this one will be a bit more interesting, I hope, and a bit more revealing, because I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is projection. So, what is projection? I would be coming back to Freud to explain it, because he was one of the first people who talked about projection, and I'm gonna define it in my own way, or with my own words. It is when, for example, you feel guilty about something, or you are angry at yourself about something. You think you have a reason, your subconscious mind thinks it has a reason to be mad at you, but you are not willing to accept these feelings. You are fighting these feelings. So what your unconscious mind does, again, to protect you, is to project these feelings of anger from yourself to someone or something else. So instead of being angry at yourself, which might be too painful, you become angry at a different person or a different thing, like a situation or a person. And this is something that is far more common than one might think. Like, I'm going to remind you of my story about the own reality that we make. And like I told you a story about me and a friend being at a riverbank, and we were both looking at the same river, and I was like, oh my god, such a peaceful river, beautiful. And he was like, oh my god, so terrible, there are probably dead bodies inside and whatever. So what happened there is that because I had a happy peace of mind at that moment, I projected my happy thoughts onto the river and saw in that river my version of it. I saw a happy, flowing, beautiful river. And the friend of mine had dark thoughts that were probably also directed against himself, but instead of accepting them at the moment, he projected them onto the river. So he saw negativity in the river. The river is totally innocent in this moment. It is neither happy nor is it sad, and you know, it's just the same river no matter what, but we both projected our versions of it to it. So this is like a very mellow example, but it is also an example of why judgments are dangerous. Because if I were a different kind of person, I might have thought like, no, you're wrong. Like, you are seeing this river in a wrong way. Like, this is a beautiful river. And he would say, no, it is a evil river, it was, you know, it's ugly. And then we would get in a fight, and would get into a fight about who is right. Like, is he right or am I right? And this is what usually happens, is that you so identify with your own judgment of something that you think it is the truth, that you think it is something that is worth fighting about. So you do that. That is why, that's one part of it, why judgments can be dangerous. The other part is when you have these negative feelings and that are directed against yourself, but you're projecting them onto someone else or something else, but usually it's someone else. So usually most people have a person, when you think about that person or see that person, you get really upset. You just get, oh my god, I hate him, or oh, he's so this and that and whatever. And usually, if you are very sensitive and very aware and you get to a point where you can be very, very, very honest to yourself, you will be able to see in this person or see in your judgment of this person something you don't like about yourself. So you will see that what you are angry about in this person is something you're angry about yourself. Or it doesn't have to be angry, it can be a different kind of feelings that are below 200, like anger, fear, shame, guilt, whatever. So this is what usually happens, and it happens much more often than we ever learned anywhere, because this is actually a very normal way. As I said, like with a river, we do that with everything. We have our own world and we project our expectations of things onto everything we see. So we see actually our own version of everything. So we also see our own version of a person that we make a judgment about. So maybe it is even possible that if we look at this person neutrally, so if we actually forgave ourselves for whatever we are angry about ourselves, if we were able to forgive ourselves and not be angry at ourselves and not be needing to project our emotions onto another person, that maybe we would see a different kind of person. We would judge this person differently. And why is this important? Like, obviously, because of your relationships with other persons, people, not persons, people, relationships with other people, but also with your relationship with yourself. Because if you stop projecting your own negative emotions onto others, and instead you look at those emotions, then you can let them go. Then you can forgive yourself for things and just let them go. Just accept that these emotions are there and then let them go. And then you become free of them forever. But when you project them onto other people, you can't become free of them because you don't even see that they are your own emotions. You think you have a reason to be mad at someone else. You think you have a reason to have this opinion about someone. But actually, it is a trick of your own mind. You see the faults you see in yourself, in someone else, and then started hating that other person because you are mad at yourself that you are not looking at these emotions that you have toward yourself. So, I hope, I hope that even the people who don't know about projection or never sensed that it is true or never experienced anything that showed them that it is true, and that you can that you equally project against people as you project against situations, as you project against things, and it's also that the projections I forgot what I wanted to say, so it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll come back to it. Yeah. So yeah, that is the course. So I hope that even people who who never heard of it, might just try to become aware and try to look at it. When you see there is a person, when you feel a lot of negative emotions coming out when you see a person or when you think about a person, and your mind will be giving you a lot of reasons why this person should be seen that way. Like a lot of arguments, like he did that and he did this to me and whatever, and you know, there is a whole story that is related to this person. Try to be very alert and to ask yourself if you can see any kind of similarity of the things that you are saying this person is guilty of, that are related to something where you might think you are guilty of the same thing or a similar thing. I mean, you probably won't be able to admit it is the same, but at least somewhere around similar. Somewhere around like, okay, yeah, maybe I was like that. Sometimes it's like that. You just say, yeah, in the past I was like him. So that's the reason I'm so mad at him. But actually you are still mad at yourself that you've been this way in your past. So, and the way to start having a better relationship with this person is to forgive yourself for your behavior in the past. And the only way you can do that is to take this projection back to yourself and give it some love and just forgive yourself. You know, you were a different person at that moment, like when that happened. Now you're a different person, so just let it go and it will be okay. So yeah, that's also, you know, also about projection. It is like, depending on which level of consciousness you're at. I don't have the board here. I'm obviously in a different place than in the last video. But if you look at the emotions, for example, when you are at a level of shame, you would be constantly projecting into the outward world something to be ashamed of, like things or people you would see. For example, when you see people, you would see people that are judging you. But actually, what is happening is you are judging yourself. You think you deserve to be ashamed of this and that, and you would be projecting it to other people, and you would see people judging you, while it could even be they are completely innocent, and they're not judging you at all, but are wondering at why are you behaving in that way. You know, it could be very strange. And there is also like one more layer to projection that sounds even more inconceivable, but it is conceived. It has been found out by psychology, even like by classical psychology. I'm talking a lot of the things I'm talking about is really classical psychology. So you can look this up. There is like also something called the projective introject. I think it's called like that, at least in German. It is the case. What is this? This is something, for example, with people with borderline disorder, or what we call the borderline disorder. Some of them are capable of putting projection to another level. That is, that, you know, it's basically the same. They're mad at their self and they project it onto another person, but what they are capable of doing in a way, in a slight way, but a significant way, is to even manipulate this person, even if this person is not really mad, that this person starts becoming mad and reacting exactly in the way of this energy that has been projected onto them. So that you, when you project in that way, get from the other person exactly the kind of pain, like the pain body in you that has projected this pain onto someone else, gets exactly the pain back that it wants. So, and sounds really incredible because like, oh my god, I don't want to be responsible for manipulating other people, but that's nothing you can, well, you can do something about it, actually. You can really do something about it, and the main thing you can do about it is become aware of your emotions, become aware of your thoughts, become aware of your unconscious mind, and that way it can't manipulate yourself or others. Because as I said when I was talking about the pain body seeks more pain and tries to act through you so it can get from the other person exactly the pain that it wants. So it is the, let's say, entity that is projecting feelings onto another person. And it's also projecting, for example, if you have the energy of I'm guilty, I am a victim, I deserve to be punished, you might provoke a situation unintentionally. You, at your conscious level, it is unintentional, but in a subconscious level, an unconscious level, you might even provoke a situation where you become a victim of something, someone verbally attacking you or really attacking you. Because actually, it's just, there is a sync in the energy. It doesn't even matter if it's a projective interact or not. But, this pain body in another person sees your pain body and they just react to each other, and then that's, there's unconsciousness happening. And, after such a situation, sometimes you are in shock and you ask yourself, oh my god, what just happened? Like, this wasn't me. Like, I didn't do this. Sometimes even when you see, like, people doing some atrocities, doing some really bad things, after it has been done, they are really in shock about what happened. Because they weren't in control of themselves anymore. And this is kind of what happens with the pain body. I hope this never happens to any of you, but it could possibly happen, or it does happen at a different level. So, and it is kind of a feeling of, oh my god, what happened? But what mostly you would do is not wanting to look at the situation that happened, not really wanted to see if you had, or your unconscious mind had something to do with this situation happening to you. And because you don't want to look at it, it can continue happening, and you would continue projecting fault to another person. This is very often why when tragical things happen, we always look for a scapegoat. We always look for someone who has to be guilty of doing this or that. And usually it is not as if one person is guilty for everything bad happening. It's usually a combination of factors. It is usually a whole dynamic that has been developed, and then one person gets the very ugly role of being a perpetrator. And maybe in a different situation, he wouldn't have, or she wouldn't have. So, yeah, that is the danger of judging, because when you judge someone, or before you judge someone, but that's almost impossible in the beginning, but when you become aware, it is possible to, before you judge someone, to ask yourself the question, is this a just judgment? Am I capable of a just judgment? Am I aware of enough to be able to say with certainty, those people I'm judging against, I have not projected anything onto them that I'm actually judging myself, but pretending I'm not judging myself, I'm judging others. And this is a very important question. Even after you've judged, like at the beginning when you're not very aware, you can't, like, I know it can last a long time, that you see someone and you judge him in the second you saw him. You hear sometimes a very bad sounding thought coming out of your mind. You see someone that you find unattractive or ugly or repulsive in any way, or poor, or whatever is your thing that you don't like, and you hear yourself saying something bad about this person in your head, or you say it out loud. It doesn't really matter. Or, this is like very often like with racism, or with, anything that is seems kind of strange. But when you go back and you look at this thought, you should always ask yourself, is this really true? Do I really believe this person is like this and that just because this was my first judgment I had? And then you can maybe just choose to leave it be. You accept this judgment came out of me. You don't feel guilty about it. You don't feel ashamed about it. You don't judge yourself because you had this judgment. But maybe when you have some time, try to look at it. Why do I judge these people that way? Or anyone? And the way to go is always to try to find, okay, what is it about myself I don't like and I tend to project to other people, or something I don't like about some archetype I have in my head, but I am afraid to give it to that archetype. Well, sometimes, for example, you have experiences with your parents or with a loved one, and you are afraid to really be mad at that person in the open. So you would also project your feelings towards this person onto another person. So this could also be possible. But it always comes back to you, because you are also mad at yourself that you're not mad at the right person. So so it goes, a long way in different ways. So and then when you become aware of these judgments against yourself, against these negatives emotions that have been kept in your unconscious mind, you can become free of them, and you can become free of judging other people, and you can also see how your relationship, not only with these people but with all people, can significantly change to the positive after you stop judging them for whatever you're judging against. So I think this is it about projection and judgment, and I thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.